She said, "I hear that monks are looking for shelter in many homes. Why don't you come and stay in my house?" Gautama said, "If she's inviting you with so much affection, you must go stay there." Then people saw, "See, he's gone." Gautama, the Buddha, with a large group of his disciples who was continuously traveling, made a rule that during the monsoon season, those 2.5 months, you can stay in the same place. The rule for the sannyasis or the monks who were with him is you should never stay in any place for more than 2 days. Normally, the monks were sheltered in many homes. So this rule he passed, more than 2 nights you don't stay in one house, because it will be too much of a burden for the whole. They are housing 10 people, you don't stay there for a month. 2 days, it should have been 1 day. 2, because you have walked a long distance and come, bit of recovery time. But during the monsoon season, he said, up to 2 to 2.5 months you can stay in one place, because walking through the jungles of that region during the monsoon season would be treacherous and many would lose their lives. So this is a time like that. They stayed in a large town and they were spread across in many homes. The monks went out to get their alms from the people. Ananda or Ananda Tirtha, as he was known, who happened to be Gautama's elder brother before his monkhood, went out and there was a courtesan or a prostitute in the town. She gave him alms, looked at him, a handsome young man, tall and straight. She said, "I hear that monks are looking for shelter in many homes. Why don't you come and stay in my house?" Another said, "I have no issue, but I must ask the Buddha as to where I should stay." Then she became really taunting. She said, "Oh, you're going to ask your guru? Go and ask him, let's see what he says." So Ananda brought what he had collected for the day. Gautama was sitting, he came and placed it at his feet, and everybody is supposed to find food and shelter wherever they go. Ananda asked, "Like this lady is inviting me, can I stay there?" Gautama said, "If she's inviting you with so much affection, you must go stay there." The townspeople who were sitting here, they said, "What? A monk is going to go and stay in a prostitute's home? This is it." This spiritual process has become corrupt. Gautama looked at them and said, "Why are you so worried? The lady is inviting him. Let him stay, what is the problem?" They all started getting up and started shouting. I said, "Wait, I am on this path because I see this is the most powerful way to live. Now you're telling me her ways are more powerful than my ways. If that is the truth, I will also go and join. I'm here because I see this is the most precious and powerful way to exist. If you think her ways are better than mine, I should also go and join. Because if you're a true seeker, that's how it should be. If you found something much higher, you go for that." Then people shouted and many of them, of course, leave. Then Ananda went and stayed with her. Monsoon time, because of rains it gets cold, monk is wearing a thin habit. So she gave him a nice silk wrap. He covered himself. Then people saw, "See, he's gone." She made nice cooking and gave it to him, he ate. Then in the evening she danced for him. He sat, watching very carefully, with utmost attention. Then when they heard the music, this is it, finished. Things went on. When the time was up, when the rain stopped, when it's time to move, Ananda came to Gautama along with a female monk. So, the power of being on the path of truth has been there, but has been many times at its height, but never got mainstreamed. I see that today, because of our ability to communicate, because of the tools of technology, the natural longing, the innate longing in a human being to find truth. This is not a thought thing. This is not something that been taught to people that you must seek truth. It is natural for human intelligence to seek what is highest. If you are given an option, any human being, given an option, either to be here or there, he will always say, I want to be there. Right now he may be caught up here, but aspiration is to go to whatever is the highest. It is just that we have to show him that there are better highs than getting drunk, there are better highs than drugs, there are better highs than being caught up in social drama, there are better highs than being better than someone else. We just have to show it to him, we have to make him understand there is a better high. Forever, many sages, saints, yogis, gurus have been doing this, but as I said, they were gentle people. They didn't have a voice like me. They didn't have a microphone. They didn't have tools with which they could speak to somebody there. They could only speak to people here. In spite of that, they did tremendous things. For their times, many of them did tremendous things out of sheer grace and energy. Millions of people around them, they transformed. Millions of people around them, they put them on the path of truth, on the power of truth. But a time has come where our ability to communicate is such, we can make truth slip through every door. We can make truth knock on everybody's minds and hearts. Never before this was possible. Technology has rendered us to this place. I feel this is the best age ever to make truth mainstream, to be truthful, to aspire for truth, to seek truth, the main force on the planet, because we have tools that nobody ever had. The neurological system in the body, if we have a way of monitoring that, killing the pain completely at certain moments when we want to, just by touching certain parts of the body.
Well, let me pose you a question, Sadhguru. So, we can perhaps work as individuals to… Now that I know I take away wakefulness and not consciousness, right? To move towards consciousness. And that's an individual's decision to maybe train in this particular way. So, is there some way that we can harness these insights like you have, harness this understanding, and use it as anesthesiologists to take care of patients? Because if we can reduce it to, or if we can adapt it, I should say reduce, if we can adapt it in that way, that would be very, very helpful, because we would be using the powers in a way that would control, I have to use the word, the brain, in a way that would be perhaps more physiologic.
I'm not the expert in the subject, but because you're asking me the question, I'll say something. But you're the expert in anesthesiology, is it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. In my simple understanding, anesthesia as a process has come into being in this world or is existing right now because there is pain. Pain, when it happens to us, is a bad thing. Nobody wants pain. But at the same time, if there was no pain, most people would not even know how to preserve their own body. See, wherever there is no pain, in how many ways they've cut it. Suppose there was no pain in your nose, they would have cut it in various shapes. It's part of the fashion. If there's no pain at all, believe me, they would have pulled out intestines and swing it on the street and go. You have any doubt about that?
None whatsoever.
So, essentially because there is pain in the body, and pain is a protective mechanism. Because most human beings still don't have the necessary intelligence even to preserve themselves. If there was no pain, even if a bicycle comes, people step back, don't think this is out of civilization. Consequence of pain. If there was no pain, even if a truck comes, they would just walk. Yes, they would. So, because of pain, so pain is essentially a protective mechanism for us. Without it, people wouldn't know how to stay alive, how to stay in one piece, they would have cut themselves into pieces. So, but sometimes, as what is called as surgery, is in some way cutting people up.
Sure.
So it has become a necessity to cut someone. How to cut them with minimum amount of disturbance to the system, that's the whole effort. So in this effort, as you said, essentially you're disengaging different parts of the brain. I don't know if it's an exact science or it's generally getting disengaged. Whichever way, is it getting effectively disengaged that people go through surgeries without even knowing what happened? When something major was done to them, their ribs were opened up and ribcage was opened up, heart was opened up, brain was opened up, they don't even know what happened. Very innocently, they wake up after a day or so, whatever amount of time. So this is anesthesia. How could we use… See, one dimension, because when we were speaking in the room, when you said, essentially, if I'm wrong, please correct me, you're monitoring the physiological systems of heartbeat, blood pressure, and temperature and
brainwaves,
whatever else, the physiological factors. I don't know if it's even a possibility, but if you find a way to monitor the neurological system, ignoring the physiological system completely, see, the concern may be the moment you put somebody on the table and start opening the body, the concern of a doctor or a surgeon may be that you don't want him dead on the table. So you're watching his heartbeat, you're watching his pulse and you're watching his all the other parameters. I understand and appreciate that concern, but instead of, okay, let's leave the physiological monitoring as it is, but if we have a way, I don't know if there is a way in the medical science, if we monitor the neurological system, not just the brain, the neurological system in the body, if we have a way of monitoring that, I think the entire art of anesthesia could raise to a different level at a very minimum interference. It could happen because why I'm saying this is, there is something called as marma in yoga and also in what is called as kalari in South India. It's a certain form of martial art. Marma is a way of killing the pain completely at certain moments when we want to. Just by touching certain parts of the body, handling body in a certain way. So essentially what we are doing is, the neurological system, we're shutting it off. And there is no pain at all. We can go ahead and do what we have to do, and only when we release it, the pain will come back. So, using that as a basis, I'm saying, if medical science has a way of monitoring the neurological impulse as it's happening, and if there is some way to introduce anesthetics in whatever form that you use, I don't know all the cocktails that are used, but if it is done properly, probably, I'm just guessing, I'm not an expert on this, probably with 2% or 3% of your medicine, you could still have the same effect on the patient. Because how you use any medicine on the body and how you use it on the neurological system, I would say 1% of what you use on the muscle, if you use it on the nerve, it will produce equal effect.
But it's interesting, because I think what you're saying has contact also with the work that we do in the recovery phase, and there are people now looking very carefully at cardiac and brain interactions, and they do signal some of these changes, and it's suggestive. I mean, that maybe more of the body could be engaged in the way we think and measure, and that makes a lot of sense to me, actually.